Alright, hello everybody. Let me get myself to appear. There we go. Perfect. I am here with... Oh, I forgot a light, that's why. You know, plugging that in might help. There we go. Right on screen, and you can see me in the stream as well. So today we're going to discuss California's new housing laws they're pretty interesting. This kind of ties back to, in the last episode I talked about how there's a college in my local town. They actually own property, and they rent out property to people who live in the town at a profit, which I'm surprised this happened, but this is actually somehow legal through some crazy, whatever you want to call it, some sort of weird thing they did. Oh, whoops. Let's get that music off, actually. Some sort of weird thing, and it's weird because it's a government-funded institution, government-regulated college, and they are purchasing property and then renting out to people to profit. Now, they don't directly pass profits to the federal government. Actually, well, no. I don't think they pass profits directly to the federal government, but they're still taking money away from the citizens towards a government-controlled institution, which is pretty weird. And a lot of these laws are similar to that. So let's find a summary of these new laws. I heard them a lot when are going into effect or may go into effect soon. Okay, yeah. So one was signed into law Tuesday, and that is probably not going to go out very well. So once law is in effect, January 1st. So I believe that's 2020. Normally laws have a year cushion before they go into effect. No, this is going into effect January, which is pretty soon. It limits rent increases to 5% plus the local rate of inflation. I don't know what that means. I've never heard of a local rate of inflation. I've only heard of, inflation. Oh, great. I've only heard of inflation, not local rate of inflation. So, well, I'm going to have to take a quick break. Let me get something set up first. Duty calls. So the downside of these rent control laws is landowners are going to get less return on investment. That is probably about the worst thing you can do, because California's issue right now is very high rent prices. The reason this is an issue is because of government control. Anytime you want to build a building, you have to get approval from government. And basically what's been happening is government has been denying every single application for anything. Especially in the San Francisco area, you can find plenty of stories of people who have been trying to build apartment complexes for over a decade. They spent almost $1 million on the property or more due to just how expensive property is. And then it's getting tied up in legal limbo because government doesn't want the solution to their problem, which is lower housing prices. So what they're doing instead to solve this government-created problem is they're saying, hey, you know what would solve that government-created problem? More government. Not really going to do anything. Hopefully people stop falling for this this lie of government helping solve issues they failed their citizenry on. So it's in 15 minutes I'll take that break. Should take under 5 minutes. So it limits it to 5% the rate, 5% plus rate of inflation, and it varies. There's exceptions in the law. So let's see if I can find the exceptions. AB 1482. Exemptions. Here we go. Exemptions. Let's get Chrome up here again. There we go. There we go. Cell phone view. Called the Tenant Protection Act. Oh, yeah. 5% plus rate inflation, which goes to about 8%. So January 1st, no one's saying 2021. Sounds like it's going to happen in less than a couple weeks. It will remain in effect until 2030. In fact, 2.4 million apartments. This is really going to affect apartment owners. Because if you own maybe 5 properties, you're going to get less return on investment. But when you own these giant complexes of 20, 30, 40 units, that can end your company if you're already struggling. Oh yeah. Also, here's a nice thing. It only affects properties that are 15 years of age or older. And who is that going to be? That's going to be a lot of middle class people are going to be living in those houses. So, are not going to be living in those houses. Sorry. So anyone who's renting any newer properties, yeah, sure, they're not going to care about this law. But people who are flipping properties, revitalizing different parts of the community, that kind of stuff, that's not really going to happen anymore. If you buy a low-cost house and you want to say, hey, I'm going to put more money into it and improve what it's worth, now you're not going to be able to do that anymore because you kick the old tenants out and you bring no ones in. Well, the value that you add to it is probably going to be more than 5% its rent. AB 1482 will exempt single-family homes, townhouses, and condos, except when owned by corporations or real estate investment trusts. Well, that's kind of good. So it's not going to... Well, I'm not... So that's mainly apartment buildings, I guess. So apartment buildings owned by corporations are going to be affected. So it's going to hurt corporations the most. And, I'm no big corporation guy, but they're going to be the ones that are renting out to the most people. So that's pretty short-sighted. Well, it's not short-sighted. It's by design, of course. Let's see if I can move this monitor closer. There we go. Some delicious lime and sparkling water. Better than Sprite, honestly. No sugar. Really great stuff. Probably still bad for your teeth. Local rent control laws will carry on as usual. I have not researched it too deeply, but I haven't heard of any local rent control laws. Yeah, okay, San Francisco has some, which isn't surprising. I kind of assumed that. So contain properties that are older than 15 years, contain at least 2 units, unless the owner lives at the property. So duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes. If you have 2 houses on one property, that's going to apply. There was something else. Let's see if I can find it. There's something about Section 8 being exempted. They also added a ton of other protection classes. And most of them are really dumb. Some of them are not too bad, like military status. Like that's fine, but other stuff is really really dumb. Uh, California landlords. Yeah, so okay, this was passed a day after Tuesday, Wednesday of this week. They can't reject tenants based if they hold Section 8 vouchers. Okay, so he hasn't signed it yet, but let's be real, he's gonna sign it. All this kind of stuff gets signed. Let's see if we can find an article. There's no articles on it yet. Oh man, yeah. I'm not reading this legal stuff. Let's find SB 329. Let's find an article. Wow. Okay, so we have one article by Sackby. Everything else is all it's all of it is whoops. Nope. Nope. Yeah, so there's one site with an article about it. You know, this affects what's the population in California? I know it's a lot of people. Yeah, 40 million people. And we have one article on a huge law that's going to affect everyone who rents, which is most people. Yeah, see, unblock ads for us, and then they do this. So I didn't know this, but current law already bans landlords from discriminating against tenants based on their source of income. So if someone literally sells drugs, and you say, I don't want you in my apartment because you sell drugs, you deny them, and you told them that, you would lose a lawsuit, and you'd be forced to rent to someone. Let's see. They have to be willing to rent a unit to family individual using a voucher if accepted. The tenant's program directly pays the landlord what the voucher covers, then the renter pays the rest. So, government has caused high regulation to throw prices through the roof on rentals, and then their solution is government is literally going to pay you for pay part of your rent to help you out. Man, it's so cyclical. Government fixing government problems, and no solution in sight. An estimated 300,000 low-income Californians rely on housing vouchers. So the government is basically going to take your money and pay people's rent because people can't afford rent from an issue they caused. Where I'm trying to find the other stuff though. There was other stuff. Let's find new rent laws. Let's also open this. So let's get rid of that. Can I get rid of that? That's... Let's get rid of that. Junk. Good. Okay. So, okay, I get it. He signed a law limiting rent increases to 5%, except for most small renters, small-time property renters, and large companies, which is going to be, it's just going to be bad for them. Let me see if I can fix this. Oh, 4 more minutes, and I'm going to have to take a break. Hopefully it should take under 10 minutes. Let's see if I still have to take that break. Yeah, I'm going to have to. 5-10 minute break. Do some stuff I have to do. You know, I basically said everything that needs to be said. Government has had high regulation on rent. They're not building new housing. Places aren't allowing new housing to be built. And let's be honest, most of the market in California is going to be controlled by LA and San Francisco. That's where pretty much everyone lives in California. LA and San Francisco. The problem, I don't think it's as bad in New York. I don't think their homeless problem is as bad as LA. I haven't done any research on it, but I haven't heard as much from New York. Of course, I don't live there. New housing needs to get built. They're not approving it. The majority, these big markets in California are high tax. People can't afford the rent because there's just low supply of houses. So their solution is just tax more money from all of its citizens, all the people who are working, who are able to work because they aren't homeless. And then they're going to give a small section of their less affluent people money to pay their landlords, who are a more small section of more affluent people. So they're taking money from everyone to give it to a upper affluent amount of people renting out houses, so that a lower affluent amount of people can live in those houses. Meanwhile, the homeless people who can't work still can't work. The price of housing doesn't go down, and everyone else is still just screwed by these high prices of housing. It has to come to a breaking point at some point. It's really just it's a shell game with the same money. They're not making any money, they're just mismanaging it. And it's not even like they're skimming off the top. I would be okay if they were corrupt politicians and everyone had housing. I don't care if you want to steal $300,000 of taxpayers' money, but at least, make people have housing and stuff. Don't have these giant issues that you're having. At least the corrupt ones would be corrupt, and they would leave us alone. And, it'd be a lot better if they were just straightforward corrupt, not screwing everyone while being corrupt. Alright guys, so I'm going to have to take a 5 to 10 minute break. I will be right back. I have some business I have to take care of. So see you guys after the break. Alright, everyone, I am back. I am hiding in the other room, that's why you can't see me. Let me just get this working again. It will take one moment. And... oh, I'm walking in now. There we go, I'm back. Alright. Got busy with some stuff. Back on the air, or tubes, or wires. So yeah, California caused all these rent control issues. Let's see what the news agencies are saying. Let's refresh them first. Also, zoom in so you guys can see it too. Oh, there's a debate tonight? Oh, dang. We need to watch that. Ooh. I didn't know this was happening.
In this question, I think...
Oh, cringe.
We have not had enough women in our government. When I was on Trevor Noah's show once, I explained how in the history of the Senate there was something like 2,000 men and only 50 women in the whole history. And he said,
oh, sorry, let me get that echo gone.
They would shut.
Let me switch to headphones. Nope. Sorry, everyone. There's a mess of cables. That should be good. There has to be some way to organize these. Oh no! Now the light's on the space bar. All right, there we go. Boomer tech, only the most professional. And come on, home stretch. Yeah, that's acceptable. And then let's... okay, why can't you guys hear it? Why can't you guys hear it?
Voices just so often get shoved out.
Oh, here we go.
And for me, the best way to understand that is look at how people are running their campaigns in 2020. You know, I made the decision when I decided to run not to do business as usual. And now I'm crowding in on 100,000 selfies. That's 100,000 hugs and handshakes and stories. Stories from people who are struggling with student loan debt. Stories from people who can't pay their medical bills. Stories from people who can't find childcare. Now, most of the people on this stage run a traditional campaign, and that means going back and forth from coast to coast to rich people and people who can put up $5,000 or more in order to have a picture taken, in order to have a conversation, and in order maybe to be considered to be an ambassador.
Oh yeah,
those selfies,
she cares about the poor.
Those selfies cost nobody anything. And I get it. In a democracy,
they cost dignity.
We all have a lot of different points of view, and everybody gets
in my opinion.
But here's the thing. People who can put down $5,000 to have a picture taken don't have the same priorities as people who are struggling
I had no
with
idea the
student
debate
loan
was
debt
happening.
or are struggling to pay off medical debt. I'm running a campaign.
Well, this is going to go longer than an hour.
Whose voices get heard.
For sure it's going to go longer than an hour.
We have people who can put down $5,000 for a check, drown out the voices of everyone else.
Thank you, Senator
They
Warren.
don't in my campaign, and they
Mayor
won't in
Buttigieg.
my White House.
If you give me $5,000, I will represent you. But also the people who don't like you. Oh, not this guy. This guy
Can't help
sucks.
but feel that might have been directed at me.
Yeah, because you're
And here's the
ugly.
thing. We're in
Just
the
kidding,
fight
you're
of our
not ugly.
lives
You're a very
right now.
beautiful individual.
Donald Trump and his allies
Especially that blue
have
tie.
made it abundantly clear that they will stop at nothing. Not even foreign interference to hold on to
And
power. They have already put
a
together more than
5 o'clock
$300
mustache.
million. This is our chance. This is our only chance to defeat Donald Trump. And we shouldn't try to do it with one hand tied behind our back. The way we're going to win is to bring everybody to our side in this fight. If that means that you're a
Change the headline.
grad student digging deep to go online to PeteForAmerica.com and chip in $10, that's great. And if you can drop
Give me the money.
$1,000 without blinking, that's
I
great
need
too.
your
We
money.
need everybody's help in this fight. I'm not going to turn away anyone who wants to help us defeat Donald Trump. We need Democrats who've been with us all along, yes, but we also need independents worried about the direction of the country. If you're a Republican, disgusted with what's going on in your own party, we're not going to agree on everything, but we need
vote
you
for
in
me.
this fight, and I will welcome you to our side.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to win any Republicans over.
Senator Warren, 45 seconds to respond.
So the mayor just recently had a fundraiser.
No one cares about
that
either of
was
these
held
people.
in a wine cave.
Okay, well, Warren
full
kind of
of
has a chance of
crystals and served
maybe
$900
possibly
a bottle wine.
having a chance at winning.
Think
But she's
about
gonna
what
lose
comes
anyways.
to that. He had promised that every fundraiser he would do would be open door, but this one was closed door. We made the
Ooh,
decision
she's
many
calling you
years ago
out.
that rich people in smoke-filled rooms would not pick the next president of the United
Smoke-filled?
States.
What does that mean?
Billionaires in wine caves
smoking
should
cigars?
not pick the next president of the United States.
Mr. Mayor, your
Okay.
response.
You know,
He's going to say I'm
according to Forbes
poor.
magazine, I am literally the
Yes.
only person on this stage who's not a
He's-
millionaire or a billionaire.
I'm poor.
So if this is important, this is the problem with issuing purity tests you cannot yourself pass.
Hey, he's got a point there. He's
If
got her there.
If I pledged never to be in the company of a progressive Democratic donor, I couldn't be up here. Senator, your net worth is 100 times mine. Now, supposing that you went
Got
home
her.
feeling the holiday spirit, I know this isn't likely, but stay with me, and decided to go on to PeteForAmerica.com and give the maximum allowable by law, $2,800. Would that pollute my campaign because it came from a wealthy person? No, I would be
Yes.
glad to have that support. We need the support from everybody who is committed to helping us defeat Donald Trump.
They want to act like they're uniting people, but they're only dividing them.
We would like to bring in everyone, but obviously, Senator Warren, I'd like to give you a chance to respond.
I do not sell access to my time. I don't do
That's a
full
lie.
time
Hold on a
with
second.
millionaires and billionaires.
Sorry,
I
as
guarantee
went-
that's a lie.
I don't meet behind
I bet you
closed
she's
doors
selling, like,
with big dollar
dinner
donors.
tickets.
And look, I've taken one that ought to be
I
an
bet
easy
she's
step
selling
for
dinner
everyone
tickets at
here.
somewhere.
I said to anyone who wants to donate to me, if you want to donate to me, that's fine. But don't come around later expecting to be
Uh-oh.
named ambassador. Because that's what goes on in these high dollar fundraisers.
Oh, shit.
I said no, and I asked everybody on this stage to join me. This ought to be an easy step, and here's the problem. If you can't stand up
No,
and
work
take the steps
again.
that are relatively easy, can't stand up to the wealthy and well-connected when it's relatively easy when you're a candidate, then how can the American people believe you're going to stand up to the wealthy and well-connected when you're president and it's really hard?
Judy.
Senator,
Oh.
I've got to respond.
It's hard for me.
First of
Mayor,
all,
we're
if
gonna
you
give you one
can't
more
say
chance to
no
respond.
to a donor, then you have no business running for office in the first place. But also, Senator, your presidential campaign right now, as we speak, is funded in part by money you transferred, having raised it at those exact same big-ticket fundraisers you now denounce. Did it corrupt you, Senator? Of course not. So to denounce the same kind of fundraising guidelines that President Obama went by, that Speaker Pelosi goes by, that you yourself went by.
See, this is
until
why people
not
like
long
Trump
ago,
is 'cause
in order
he's
to
out there
build
calling
the
people
Democratic
ugly and
Party
stupid
and build a
and
campaign ready for the
that
fight
kind
of
of
our
stuff.
lives. These purity tests shrink the stakes of the most important election.
Judy.
We'd like to bring everyone in. We'd like to bring everyone in.
They're trying to act like it's some sort of intellectual debate.
We'd like to bring everyone in, but Senator Klobuchar...
This is not like an intellectual debate. This is just shit flinging.
Listen to this argument. I came here to make a case for progress, and I have never even been to a wine cave. I've been to the Wind Cave in
I hate
South
her.
Dakota, which I suggest you go to. So what is making a case for progress
What?
about? That is what unites us up here instead of what divides us, which is campaign finance reform. That means passing a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United. It means making the first...
I don't know off the top of my head. Let's see.
When I am president, will be H.R. 1, which is the ethics reform passed in the House, which is currently sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk along with 400 bills. And if you don't think we can get this done, well, we can, but only if we win this election big. Not by arguing with each other.
Oh, yeah, you know, I can agree with that. Citizens United versus the FEC basically says corporations can donate to presidential campaigns. I can agree with that. But, you know, everything else she thinks is really dumb. Oh, God. He looks like he's dying. You have a heart attack? You have heart attack medication? It looks like he's wearing a bald cap. Why? I'm surprised he's even here after the heart attack.
He's received contributions from 44 billionaires. Pete, on the other hand, is trailing, Pete. You only got 39 billionaires contributing. So, Pete,
they can only donate like 5,000 or something, though. It's
an energetic guy and a competitive guy to see if you can take on Joe on that issue. But what is not a laughing
Bernie's out here dropping his mixtape.
This is why 3 people own more wealth than the bottom half. This is why Amazon and other major corporations pay 0 in federal taxes.
That's false. They pay lots of taxes. They don't pay income tax. They pay lots of taxes. Now, I think they should pay more taxes. I think they do a lot of bad business practice, especially with employee wages, but no, they pay Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, taxes on things purchased. They pay a lot of taxes. Oh, I know what Biden's done and he continued to does.
Solitary one, not one single time, period. And I've made sure that you know exactly where all the largest contribution I've accepted
is scheduled to.
$2,800, which is allowed under law. And I'm the first person to introduce the constitutional amendment.
Oh, this has to end soon.
Sure
5 hours?
All public funding of elections.
Oh no, it's okay.
And all private
it's like
funding.
interviews.
And we also take a commitment, make a commitment to that.
He's
right
just saying
now
the same thing, and also he looks like he's dying.
We got to fund a campaign, and we in fact have funded a campaign.
Does not look healthy.
$43.
Thank you, Vice President.
That's the problem with this debate. It's well lit.
Listen, I'm running because this government is broken, because it's purchased by corporations.
How long is this debate?
And I've spent 10 years fighting those corporations and beating them and building grassroots organizations to push power down to the
beat the
people.
corporations.
That's what I've been doing for a decade. But let me say this. There's someone who's loving this conversation, and his name's Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah, he is.
We know how he's going to run. He's told us last week, he looked at a group of Americans and said, I don't like you, you don't like me, it doesn't matter, you're going to support me because the Democrats will destroy the economy in 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
This guy, he's a different breed of cat, and we need to beat him.
3 hours?
We need to talk about prosperity.
I'm not watching this whole thing.
25 years building a business. We're going to have to take him
2 more hours of this? No.
Have these kinds of conversations and tear each other down, but actually go after this corrupt president and beat him on the economy where he thinks he's king and where in fact he's a fraud and a failure.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer. We're going to end it
there. I mean, that. He's kind of right about that. Trump is not delivered. Oh.
We have a question here from a professor right here at Loyola Marymount.
Yes, the one person of color on stage, according to CNN.
So-called dreamers in the state of California, more than any other state.
Isn't what's his face? Isn't he Hispanic?
If you win and you reinstate DACA through executive action, another president could just overturn it again. So will you move?
I need a constitutional amendment
Fix for dreamers
to make dreamers citizens.
Of course I would. I'm the son of immigrants myself, and I know that dreamers are essentially...
Oh, this is
everything
cringe.
legal classification.
A lot of people like Yang, but he's very cringe.
I just want to return to this conversation because I think it's
math.
Our country is deeply misogynist, and most all of us know that. Men are tied together. That's where I thought.
Stop it, Yang.
The fact is, strong societies would elect more female leaders.
Just pay me $1,000 to F off.
Treat women well for the same reasons.
I'm gonna bring that meme up.
We need both strong men and female leaders in government because the fact is, if we get too many men alone and leave us alone for a while, we kind of become more.
Stop it. Stop, Yang. Yeah, here's the meme.
So it's related to our campaign finance rules because right now the fact is we operate in a fund.
Yeah, he's gonna say the same thing they're saying. Yang or Hillary, be informed, compare them on the issues that matter. Issue, the alt-right. Hillary, you know, just to be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Yang, I'll pay you $1,000 to fuck off. You know, if we're gonna have government just giving everyone money to begin with, why not at least, you know, take a slice of the pie and be happy for a little bit before the system crashes?
You pledged to move on a permanent legislative fix in your first 100 days. Dreamers say that they are frustrated by Democrats' failure to prioritize their status in deal after deal. So why should Dreamers trust Democrats now?
Yeah.
I believe everyone on this stage
They really screwed them.
by Dreamers in the first 100 days. I would make it a top priority. I'm the son of immigrants.
Oh,
myself.
top priority,
The
uh-huh.
fact is almost half
That's a
the
top
person
priority for the country. There's not bigger fish to fry. International war? No. Failing middle class? No. Yes. DACA recipients. Number one. It's just the pandering. The pandering is too blatant. I don't know how people take this seriously.
And I'm the president, you would realize my son or daughter can become president of the United States. That's the opposite of the current administration, and that's the message I would love to send to the world.
Thank you, Mr. Yang. Senator Sanders.
Well, right now, as long as your kid is born in America, they can become president, even if you're not a citizen, which should change.
This is related, sir, but there are estimated to be as many as 12 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S. More than
12 million? Try 35 million.
Have a chance to forge a bipartisan immigration
Try 35, not 12.
insist on a path to citizenship for all 12
He's gonna
million,
say
or
yes.
just a segment of
No one's gonna say no to that here.
This is what I would do. Day one, executive order. Restore the legal status of 1.8 million young people in the DACA program.
Oh, no, they're not young people.
Day one,
They're as
we
old
changed
as
the
36.
policy so that
It was a
federal
retroactive
agents would
law.
never snatch babies from the arms.
The majority of them are adults.
Day one, we introduce bipartisan legislation, which will in fact be comprehensive, which will result in a path toward citizenship for all of the 11 million who are undocumented.
No.
That is what the people of our country want. Trump thinks mistakenly
No, it's not.
that he's going to win.
Most of the country didn't want the
election by dividing
1964 Immigration Act. Was it
We are
64?
gonna win this
But it got
election
passed
by
anyways.
bringing our people together, black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American. That's what this campaign is about. That's what
All this
America
racialism is very
is about.
unoptical.
Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you. I started my day-to-day with a group of immigrants who were there talking to me about housing. And I thought about
Oh, I hate this
and what he's
lady.
done. He has
She's so
used our
rude.
immigrants as political pawns.
She's like, oh, I'm
Every
edgy.
single day,
I'm an
he
edgy
tries
bitch.
to
Like,
draw a wedge. I will be a different
no,
president.
stop. It's cringe.
My view on this comes from experience. When I got to the Senate, Senator Kennedy asked me to be one of the 2 new senators that was in the group to work on the immigration reform package.
Yeah, just
were
let 'em
so
all
close
in.
to passing that. I voted
That's
for
not
it.
complicated. Just
everybody
let 'em all
did,
in.
But most of the Democrats did. Then I was on the Judiciary Committee when President Obama was president, and we worked very hard on that immigration reform. We actually passed that with Republican votes. Then I was in the small group that worked on the compromise on the Dreamers that would have solved that problem. We didn't get that done because this president gut punched us.
Thank you, Senator.
The president punched us?
This experience, I will get this done because immigrants don't diminish America.
Also, looks like that's very bad eye makeup. Looks like she's dying.
Listen, I think it's important.
I hate it when makeup is applied improperly, because you just look worse. Oh, what was that?
He's against immigration by non-white people. This
White.
is not against immigration. He's against immigration by non-white people.
Not true. Very not true. He's importing a lot more people from India, a lot of high-skilled jobs on H-1B visas.
That's what he's been doing since the very
He's
first day he started running for president. He's
prosecuted.
non-white people.
I don't remember what country the guy was from, but it was a European country, and he charged him just the same as other people. He's basically enforcing laws that if you're here illegally and you do a criminal act, you're targeted for deportation. There was someone from Europe who was targeted for deportation because they had a DUI. They didn't even hurt anyone. They just got the DUI. That's a criminal charge. He was here, I believe, illegally or some whatever, and they deported him. Oh, whoops. He also sounds like Jared Taylor. White.
By a racist president who's trying to divide us and who's vilifying people. It's absolutely wrong, and it's led him to break the laws of humanity in our name.
Nice plaid tie. Plaid is for
Mayor Buttigieg,
idiots.
a new question to you, Mr. Mayor. You said last month that the U.S. owes compensation to children separated from their families at the southern border. The consensus among child welfare experts is that those thousands of children will likely suffer lifelong trauma as a result of that separation.
Oh no.
Are you committing
Think of the children.
to financial compensation for those thousands of children?
Think of the children.
Should have a fast track to citizenship, because what the United States did under this
Yeah, just let him in.
was wrong.
That is the policy. Let them in.
And on the larger issue of immigration, my understanding of this issue isn't theoretical. It's not something I formed in committee rooms in Washington.
Oh,
It begins with the
yes.
fact that my household, my family, came from abroad. My father immigrated to this country.
Yeah, legally.
And became a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, legally.
It comes from the fact that
Legally.
city where neighborhoods that were left for dying are now coming back to life, largely because of the contributions, mainly of Latino immigrants. And I've seen those same neighborhoods.
All right, at 6:40, I'm gonna take a quick break, but I'm gonna let this play in the background.
The rumor of an ice raid did not make our country safe.
Could I
had to
respond?
look into the
Yeah, just let everyone in.
of an 8-year-old boy whose father was deported, even though he had nothing so much.
This whole immigration thing, it's not about letting people in who are not a harm to the country. It's about letting in international cartels into the country, because you remove the apparatus to kick people out of the country, and now any international agent can operate within your country with free reign. It's not just about letting people in or let them all in. It's about letting international cartels operate on our streets with no fear of prosecution. That's what sanctuary cities are. Sanctuary cities are a place where international agents from any country, whether it's intelligence agencies, cartels, whatever, to just operate freely within our soil. So you have a city, and it's like, oh yeah, the police literally cannot arrest you for being here legally. It's insane.
Support H.R. 40, which is the bill that has been proposed in Congress to establish a commission to look at reparations. But we shouldn't wait for that commission to do its work to do things that are reparative.
Reparations.
Remember, we're not talking
Actually, you know what I'm going to do?
about a gift
I'm going to take a
to
break.
anybody.
I'm going to actually
We're talking
pause
about
this, take a break and use the restroom, do some other stuff,
talking about
and then I'll be back.
generational theft of the
Alright, so I'm going to pause this. I'm going to put this back on the pre-show card. You guys can enjoy some nice lo-fi music, and I will be back within 10 minutes. Alright, I'm back. Actually, I lied. Let me mess with the camera. Un momento. Almost back. All right. Let's get back to this train wreck. Get back to this train wreck right now. I need something that... Sorry. Let me aim this up higher. As high as it goes. Secure. I'm kind of slouching. I'm gonna have to fix that. I think I need a wider lens. Let's watch this train wreck.
And just crossing out a racist policy and replacing it with a neutral one is not enough to deliver equality. Harms compound, just like a dollar saved in its value compounds over time. So does the value of a dollar stolen. And that is why the United States must act immediately with investments in minority-owned businesses,
White people bad.
health equity, with investments in HBCUs, and on the longer term, look at reparations so that we can mend what has been broken.
Vice President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, I mean,
No one's gonna say no to this either. Literally, no one can say no to that.
The reason we're the country we are is
Because if they do, they're gonna get smashed by the media.
Every single time. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America, and we should invest in them. Everybody will benefit from it, every single American, and you should get used to it. This is a nation of immigrants. That's who we are. That's why we're who we are. That's what makes us different, and we should invest in them.
Thank you, Mr. Biden. Senator Klobuchar, you had your hand up.
Well, I was hearkening back. I made my case on immigration to what the mayor said about Washington. So I look at this a different way. When we were in the last debate, Mayor, you basically mocked the 100 years of experience on the stage. What do I see on this stage? I see Elizabeth Warren,
A bunch of
consumer financial
sellouts and
helping 29 million people. I see the vice president.
People don't know what they're doing.
$2 billion for his cancer moonshot. I see Senator Sanders' work working to get the veterans bill passed across the aisle. And I see what I've done, which is to negotiate 3 farm bills and be someone that actually had major provisions put in those bills. So while you can dismiss committee hearings, I think this experience works. And I have not denigrated your experience as a local official. I have been one. You know, I just think you should respect our experience when you look at how you evaluate someone who can get things done.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Mayor, I'll give you a chance to respond.
Oh, I didn't even pay attention to any of that. Literally don't care.
You actually did denigrate my experience, Senator, and it was before the break, and I was going to let it go because we got bigger fish to fry here. But you implied
I don't
that
think we have bigger fish to fry than picking a president of the United States.
I missed that.
You actually did denigrate my experience, Senator, and it was before the break,
Got
and
him.
I was going to let it go because we got bigger fish to fry here. But you implied
I don't
that
think we have bigger fish to fry than picking a president of the United States.
You're right.
That was.
Before the break,
I just don't like our attitude about it.
My relationship to the First Amendment was a talking point. As if anyone up here has any more or less commitment to the Constitution.
Oh, sorry. This is on PBS NewsHour. The order of the podiums on tonight's stage is based on the average DNC qualifying polls conducted in the weeks since last debate. Top polling candidates are in the center, fanning out on both sides the lowest polling candidates.
That is my
So let's see who's the highest chance of being liked here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Senator Klobuchar, you have 45
Let's get a wide shot.
I certainly respect your military experience. That's not what this is about. This is about choosing a president. And I know my view of this is I know you ran for to be chair of the Democratic National Committee. That's not something that I wanted to do. I want to be president of the United States. And the point is, we should have someone heading up this ticket that has actually won and been able to show that they can gather the support that you talk about of moderate Republicans and independents, as well as a fired up Democratic base. And not just done it once, I have done it 3 times. I think winning matters. I think a track record of getting things done matters. And I also think showing our party that we can actually bring people with us, have a wider tent, have a bigger coalition, and yes, longer coattails, that matters.
Thank you, Senator. Denise?
Excuse me. I got to respond to that. Senator, I know that if you just go by vote totals, maybe what goes on in my city seems small to you. If you want to talk about the capacity to win, try putting together a coalition to bring you back to office with 80% of the vote as a gay dude in Mike Pence's Indiana.
I like penis. Vote for me.
Again, I would. If you had won in Indiana, that would be one thing. You tried.
I put penis in my mouth. Vote for me, please.
Let's talk about
Sorry, I have to do some translation there.
Everybody here wants to do in terms of defeating the most dangerous president in American history.
Dangerous. Ooh, Trump is dangerous.
You have the largest voter turnout in the history of
Oh,
America.
did something freeze?
And you don't have the largest voter
I'm
turnout
frozen.
unless you create energy and excitement. And you don't create energy and excitement unless you are prepared to take on the people who own America and are prepared to speak to the people who are working in America. We need a progressive agenda. Medicare for all, raising the minimum wage to a living wage, leading the world in combating climate change, making public colleges and universities available to all because we have free tuition and canceling all student debt in this country.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. I'd like to turn to a new subject, and that is, of course, education. Senator Warren.
Good thing I'm wearing pants.
Free public college tuition and student loan forgiveness for most families. Why should wealthy families be able to send their kids to public college for free? Why not concentrate that government help on those most in need?
So, as I've talked about before, I have a 2-cent wealth tax proposed
for
millionaires and billionaires, and that gives us enough money to invest in all of our babies age 0 to 5, to put an historic $800 billion investment in public schools.
Whoa, I keep freezing.
And that will permit us to offer technical school, 2-year college, 4-year college for every single person who wants an education. Cancel student loan debt for put a $50 billion investment in our historically black colleges and universities, and cancel student loan debt for 43 million Americans. Look, this is about money, but this is also about values. We need to make an investment in our future, and the best way to do that is let's invest in the public education of our children. That starts when they're babies and it goes long after high school. We want to have families. I meet families every day in the selfie lines who talk about what it means to be crushed by student loan debt. That's why I have a proposal popular among Democrats, popular among Republicans, popular among independents, to ask those at the top to pay a little more so somebody can get rid of that student loan debt, so they can make an investment in themselves, start a small business, buy a car, create a future for themselves and for this country.
Thank you, Senator. I see some hands, but I want to go to Mayor Buttigieg. Mayor Buttigieg, your plan offers free or discounted public college only to families making up to $150,000 a year. Do you think Senator Warren's plan offers free college to too many families?
I do think that if you're in that lucky top 10%, I still wish you well. Don't get me wrong. I just want you to go ahead and pay your own tuition. Now, we can still have public service loan forgiveness for those who go into lower income fields to deal with that. But if you're in that top 10%, I think you're going to be, for the most part, okay. And there is a very real choice on where every one of these tax dollars goes. So I very much agree with Senator Warren on raising more tax revenue from millionaires and billionaires. I just don't agree on the part about spending it on millionaires and billionaires when it comes to their college tuition.
Thank you, Mayor Buttigieg.
Wait. No, he mentioned
I'm
me
gonna let
by
you.
name.
I don't know. I keep freezing. The camera could be overheating, but I can really doubt that.
The mayor wants billionaires to pay one tuition for their own kids. I want a billionaire to pay enough to cover tuition for all of our kids. Because that's how we build a future.
See, the problem is, this is like what I was saying earlier. All this is a government-created problem. They're like, oh yeah, we need government to take money. We'll take money here and push it somewhere else. And it'll make society better. Well, no. Not going to do that. It's a government-created problem. Government-funded schools, government-backed, government-regulated. Causes the prices to be high. Education subpar. Government gives loans. Prices go up. And let's take even more of your money to pay for it.
I believe.
So let's see. Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie are the top three. And then all the new guys are polling lower.
Concept of universality.
That's kind of scary, honestly. I hope Biden wins. Because then people are going to pull up all those videos of him doing press conferences.
Today, because you're at 150, but you lost your job, are you eligible? You got a better job, you're eligible. I think what we have to do is what we do with Social Security, what we do with public education. Donald Trump's kids can go to a public school. They should be able to go to a public school.
They are.
What we need right now is a revolution.
Who's banning Trump's kids from school?
We have got to end this dysfunctional child care system and make sure that every working class person in this country can find high quality, affordable child care. We need to make public colleges and universities.
See, that's actually, there's a contradiction with child care.
By taxing.
So there's a minimum wage that everyone has to be paid. And if you work a minimum wage job, you're going to be paying more than it's worth for someone to take care of your kids. Because they're going to be charging minimum wage plus fees. It just doesn't work. The only way you can afford childcare is if you work a skilled job. And in which case, you're outsourcing raising your kid to someone else. And they're going to not like you for it. Yeah, my camera keeps freezing.
Bill worries that there aren't enough jobs, living facilities, social programs designed to meet the needs of his son. So I'm wondering, as president, are there specific steps that you would take to
I'll try my webcam
people
next.
like Kyle become more integrated into the workforce and into their local community?
Look, the United States has made a commitment to treat everybody equally. And that means supporting people with disabilities, both in terms of education and later when they're part of the workforce. That means bringing the resources to bear to make sure that we're treating them fairly in school and after school to try and integrate them fully and to make them have as full a life as possible. The question we've got here across the board is, can we afford to do the kinds of things that Senator Sanders and Senator Warren are pushing? And the answer is yes. In fact, what we need to do is to undo the tax breaks that have been given for 2 generations to rich Americans and big corporations. Last year, the top 400 corporations paid an 11% tax. That is absolutely...
That's about on par with... Yeah, there should be a 10% flat tax, but yeah, that's very true.
As so many of these questions are.
There should be a 10% flat tax with no deductions. Everyone would pay it.
They're getting their way, and for us to get back to government of, by, and for the people that serves Americans, including Americans with disabilities, we're going to have to take that back.
Thank you. Mr. Yang, I didn't hear a specific answer from Mr. Steyer. Can you outline specific steps that the government should take to help integrate these young people into the workforce and into their local community?
I would love it. I have a son with special needs. And to me, special needs is the new normal in this country. How many of you all have a family member or a friend or a neighbor with special needs or autism? If you look around, most hands went up. The fact is, right now, we have to do more for Kyle. Special needs children are going to become special needs adults in many cases. And here's the challenge. We go to employers and say, hey, this special needs person can be a contributor in your workplace, which may be correct, but that's not the point. We have to stop confusing economic value and human value. We have to be able to say to our kids and Kyle that you have intrinsic value because you're an American and you're a human being. We're going to put a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month in everyone's hands, which is going to help families around the country adapt. And then we're going to take this burden off of the communities and off of the schools who do not have the resources to support kids like my son, and make it a federal priority, not a local one, so they're not robbed.
Sorry, I'm just testing something. Yeah, I think it's fine. Sorry, I'm just testing something.
And what do we need to do? That's why I have a plan as a special ed teacher to fully fund IDEA. So every child with disabilities will get the full education they need. My housing plan is about investing in more housing across this country, in rural America, in urban America, in small town America. But it's also about making sure that people who want to live independently, people who have disabilities, will have housing available to them. I make a part of my job bill that we are going to make sure, as president, I will make sure that the people who want to bid on federal contracts are treating people with disabilities fairly and paying them fairly. You've got to go at it at every part of what we do, because as a nation, this is truly a measure of who we are. We believe in treating these, the least of thy brethren, as people of value, and that is how we make a better America.
Thank you, Senator Warren. Thank you, Senator Warren. Judy?
Yeah, I know we have a lot of hands up. We have so many important topics to discuss. I want to come to you, Senator Klobuchar, on a question of the judges. President Trump has appointed, as we know, 2 Supreme Court justices, but he's also had confirmed nearly 200 federal judges, most of whom are young and could shape American law for decades to come. Some of them you voted for in the Senate, including one who just yesterday joined a ruling to strike down a key part of the Affordable Care Act. Would President Trump's appointees, my question is, make it harder for you as president, for any of you on this stage, to enact?
I think I know why my camera's shutting down. I just have this really janky USB cable. It's like the cheapest one they could possibly make in China.
What happened at the Kavanaugh hearing, when that nominee went after me, I stood my ground and he had to apologize. So I have been very strong on these judges. As for the judge you just referred to, there was actually the judge that wrote the opinion was a judge that went through the Senate unanimously with support by Senator Sanders, with support
Try it one more time.
President Obama, with support by then Senator Kennedy. So I think it is very important when we look at these judges to acknowledge that there are some of these judges that you think are going to be okay, and they aren't. But what would I do as president? I would appoint judges that are
out of my way, chair.
People like
I got politicians to make fun of.
and Justice Breyer and Sonia Sotomayor, and let's not forget the notorious
There we go.
RBG. That's what I would do.
I think I'll go another 15 minutes and then call it. It was pretty boring.
The Judiciary Committee, look at the judges that I recommended to President Obama. People like Mimi Wright, who's a superstar, and Susan Richard Nelson. Look at who I put in as the first openly gay marshal in the history of the United States.
Ooh, I really care about that.
Because I knew they were qualified people to take those jobs. And you need to do it not only with the right judges and have that know-how, but you also have to do it right away. That is one thing that we all learned from when President Obama was in. And that was
Pack the courts with gay judges.
Crisis, and it was hard to do it right away. But we have to immediately start putting judges on the bench to fill vacancies so that we can reverse the horrific nature of these Trump judges.
A follow-up to
Literally don't care.
Beyond a pledge not to overturn Roe versus Wade, which I believe all of you have said would be part of your decision-making in choosing a nominee to the court, are there other litmus tests that you would apply in choosing federal judges?
Ban guns.
The Supreme Court is very personal for me.
Whoa, wait.
My marriage.
She said that's a litmus test for picking a judge. Yeah, judges aren't there to enforce political policy. They're there to make judgments based on law. Laws aren't supposed to be political.
By the grace of the
Jesus.
on that
Just admitting it outright.
It is critical that we have justices who understand that American freedom includes reproductive rights and reproductive freedom. But that's not all. I expect an understanding that voting rights are human rights. I expect an understanding that equality is required of us all. And I expect a level of respect for the rule of law that prevents this body from coming to be viewed as just one more partisan battlefield, which is why I will not only appoint judges and justices who reflect this worldview, but also begin moving to reform the body itself, as our country has done at least half a dozen times in its history. So
direct democracy now, please. That's what he's going to say.
Yamiche?
I feel like I'm in class again.
At least
like at school.
Transgender people were killed in the United States this year.
22?
Transgender women of color.
Oh no!
Each of you has said you would push for
that's almost like a big number, man.
Civil rights bill. But if elected, what more would you do to stop violence against transgender people?
It's such a small number. 20 veterans kill themselves a day due to suicide from PTSD, and we have a cure for PTSD. If you look into maps, maps.org.
To end all forms of discrimination against the transgender community, against the African American community, against the Latino community, and against all minorities in this country.
Oh, that's cool.
And beyond providing the moral
I can agree with stopping discrimination against minorities.
Together, what we also need for the transgender community is to make sure that health care is available to
we get it, Bernie. You like traps, okay?
In this country, regardless of their sexual orientation or
hey, Bernie, you heard it here first. Bernie likes traps.
I strongly support and have helped lead the effort for a Medicare for all single-payer program, which will provide comprehensive health care to all
the government will
people,
cut your parts off, and they'll pay for it.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. Senator Warren?
The transgender community has been marginalized in every way possible.
I think the reason why Biden is so popular is he's just recognizable. Everyone knows who he is. He was Obama's vice president. I don't think that means that he was necessarily, good or bad or anything. But
read the names of transgender women, people of color who have been killed in the past year. I will make sure that we read their names so that as a nation, we are forced to address
he's gonna pull out a list. It's gonna be like this. It's gonna be like this long.
I will change
if it's standard point font, or she's gonna put it in like 72-point font and get this giant scroll and read it very slowly and loudly into the microphone.
I will do everything I can
it's a big
to
issue.
Make sure that we are in America that leaves no one behind.
Thank you, Senator Warren.
Yes, we cannot leave anyone behind. That was the founders intended.
Let's turn now
except for, Catholics and pagans and everyone else except Protestants.
Senior U.S. officials misled the public about the war in Afghanistan. As Vice President, what did you know?
Afghanistan, you said?
Yes, sir, Afghanistan.
Oh.
As Vice President,
he called her out.
About the state of the war.
Oh, that was a good one.
Do you believe that you were honest with the American
Afghanistan?
Afghanistan? Well known.
Afghanistan?
My view on Afghanistan. I was sent by the president before we
got
sworn into Afghanistan to come back with a report. I said there was no comprehensive policy available, and then I got in a big fight.
That's what the general said the whole time. We don't know why we're here, but we're blowing stuff up, and they're attacking us. So we're shooting back, and we need more money.
Is beyond our capacity. I argued from the very beginning that we should have a policy that was based on an anti-terrorism policy with a very small footprint that in fact only had special forces to deal with potential threats from that territory to the United States of America. The first thing I would do as President of the United States of America is to make sure that we brought all combat troops home, entered into a negotiation with the
Quit
Taliban,
lying,
but I would
Sleepy
leave
Joe.
behind special
Quit lying.
forces in small numbers to be able to deal
You're not bringing the troops home. Trump said he would. Obama said he would. It's not happening.
To deal with terrorism.
It's a good talking
That's been
point,
my
though.
Position from the beginning. That's why I think Secretary Gates and some members of the Pentagon weren't happy with it.
Mr. Biden, the question was about your time in the White House, though. And
I'm talking about the White House.
In that Washington
Time to
Post
do some
report, there's a
drugs.
senior national security official who said that there was constant pressure from the Obama White House to produce figures showing the troop surge was working, and I'm quoting from the report here, despite
These are the
strong
drugs.
evidence to the contrary. What do you
Not
say to that?
not
2009,
THC.
go
It's
back and look. I was on the opposite side of that with the Pentagon. The only
you
reason
guys
I
see
can
that?
speak to it now
Lion's mane. It's a mushroom.
published thoroughly.
Not the drug kind. It's
from the beginning, who
it's good for
argued
you.
that it was a big mistake
Or so
to
the internet
surge
says.
forces to Afghanistan. Period. We should not have
time
done
to
it.
just do drugs
And I
while
argued
watching this
against
boring
it
debate.
constantly.
I'm sure everyone else is
Senator
too.
Sanders, you have your hand up?
Well, in all due respect to Joe, you're also the guy who helped lead us into
Don't
the
Photoshop
war
that.
in Iraq.
No, bad internet.
What we need to do is, I think, rethink.
Whoa, I'm so high.
What we need to rethink is the entire war on terror. We have lost thousands of our own.
At this point, it would have been
men,
both
women, brave soldiers.
cheaper and it would have saved more human lives
Hundreds
if
of
we just
thousands,
nuked the
if
Middle
not
East.
Millions of people have been killed abroad or forced to leave their countries. It is time right now that we bring this world togeters to try to end these endless
Yes. Mass
wars
land
and
invasion.
address the root
End it
causes
now.
that are causing these wars.
Senator Sanders, you
Carpet
you
bombing.
point to your vote against the war in Iraq as evidence.
You know, Bernie has a
of
good
your
war
judgment
plan.
on
Get it
foreign
done.
Policy, but you did vote for the war in Afghanistan, and as recently as 2015,
Afghanistan?
you said you supported a continued U.S.
You voted for the war in
presence
Afghanistan?
there. Was that support a mistake?
Well, only one person, my good friend Barbara Lee, was right on that issue. She was the only person in the House to vote against the war in Afghanistan. She was right.
Afghanistan?
I was wrong. So was everybody else in the House.
Afghanistan?
But to answer your question, I don't think you do what
These
Trump
guys
does
are
and make foreign policy decisions
so
based
cringe.
on a
Like
tweet at 3
they
a.m.
say
in the
words
morning,
with
or
just
desert
whatever
your longtime
accent.
allies like the Kurds.
Like say
I think
Mexico,
you
they say
work with the
Mexico.
international community. You
Or,
remove all troops over a
I don't know. A
period
more
of time,
overt way would be
short
calling Japan
period of
Nippon,
time, within
or
1
however.
year.
I don't know the
Senator
accent you would say
Buttigieg
that in, but
served in this war, but I want to
it's
ask
basically what
about
they're
your
doing is they're
decision-making
just
if you're
pandering
elected
through being
Commander-in-Chief.
cringe.
You have pledged to withdraw all U.S. troops from Afghanistan.
Shut up! You're
in
not
your
gonna do
first
that.
year as president, but the
Why
Taliban
you
today
always
control or
lying?
contest more than half the country. So, should you, as president, still withdraw all those U.S. troops if the country could once again become a haven for terrorists?
We're going to lead.
It's
one
not
way
going
or
to
the
become a
other.
haven
The
for
question is to make
terrorists.
sure we do it well and not poorly. And of course, that has to
The
respond
TSA
to
let
conditions on the
through
ground,
is
the need
between
for
it was about
appropriate
90% of all contraband. They do internal testing where
the
they'll
other day I
sneak
was
drugs
reuniting
in
with
and
somebody
bombs
that I
and
served
stuff,
with over there, and the thing we
or
were
simulated whatever it
marveling at
is.
how long it's been
Stuff
since
that'll
Iraq.
trip the sensors,
I thought I
or
was
they'll
one of
find
the
it and go,
last
"Hey, what's this
troops
white
turning out the
powder
lights
labeled cocaine
when
in
I
your
left
bag?"
years ago.
They had a
And
90%
we're still
failure
there.
rate.
There may
Sometimes
need
as
to be
high as
some kind of
98%.
limited special operations and
All they do is
intelligence
harass people
The
and
exact same
waste
kind of thing, by
money.
the way, that we actually had
And you want them to
in
stop
Syria,
terrorists?
holding the line before the president yanked it out, leading to the
They're
road
too busy
to chaos.
groping people's
But what we
grandmas
know is that we
and letting
cannot
bombs
go
and
on
drugs in the
with these
country
endless wars.
to
And
stop
I'm glad
terrorists.
that the name of Barbara Lee was mentioned, not only because of what she's talked about years ago. I believe that we had no choice but to go to Afghanistan after 9/11. But right now, she is one of the leaders of the effort
Yeah,
to
I'm sure glad we
repeal
can know within
and
a few
replace
hours of who did it. We found one of their
authorization for the use of
passports
military force,
in the
and
rubble.
the folks that I served with deserve
That was super
They deserve
convenient.
the clarity of members of Congress being able to summon the courage to take an up or down vote on whether they ought to be there in the first place. And when I am president, anytime, if I am forced to deploy troops into war, anytime we seek an authorization, it will have a 3-year sunset. So that if there really does have to be a conversation about extending it, it has to be brought to Congress, brought to the American people, and those members of Congress have to take that tough up or down.
It doesn't really matter. It's kind of.
Moving to healthcare.
They're just going to ignore it or pass it on writers.
Priority for them. Senator Sanders,
Oh,
you
autism
spent
awareness.
plenty of time discussing and defending the merits of
Oh,
the
that's a
Medicare
shout out
for
to
All
so
plan,
many
but
people.
The reality is that if Republicans retain control of the U.S. Senate, or even if Democrats win back a narrow Senate majority, your plan as constituted probably would not have the votes to pass Congress. So the question, Senator, is if Congress rejects your plan, and the American people are
Be right
looking
back.
to you for leadership on this
Still in the
issue,
room.
are there smaller, specific
getting
measures
cold.
that you would take immediately to expand coverage and decrease costs as president?
Well, Tim, at a time when we're spending twice as much per capita on healthcare as any other nation, when 87 million people are uninsured or underinsured, when 30,000 people
Out here
dying
rapping
each year
on
because they
stage,
don't get to a doctor
spitting
when they're
them
treated,
rhymes,
and when a half a
them
million
sick
people
lyrics.
are going bankrupt because of the dysfunctional and cruel system that we currently have, you know what? I think we will pass a Medicare for all single-payer system, and I will
Just stop,
introduce
Bernie.
that legislation in my first week in office.
America produces the most drugs out of any country, like the new drugs, new medications. And all these socialist countries basically get them for free. They make a generic version.
Take on the greed and corruption of the pharmaceutical industry, for example, which in some cases charges us 10 times more for the same exact drug as is charged in this country. When the American people understand that Medicare for All expands Medicare to cover home health care, dental care, eyeglasses,
I'm curious
and
what
hearing aids, and does it at a cost
Nick is up to.
far lower than what some of my opponents are talking
Offline.
about. You know what? We're going to have the American
Oh,
people
no, he
behind
said
us.
vacation
We
or
will
something.
have Congress behind us.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. Vice President Biden, I'd like to bring you in. You spent an awful lot of time 10 years ago trying to pass a bill far less ambitious than what Senator Sanders is talking about here. Is he being realistic?
I don't think it is realistic. Let me explain why. I introduced a plan to build on Obamacare. It remind everybody, 20 million people got insurance, didn't have it before. All people with pre-existing conditions were able to be covered. I could go on. We didn't get all that we wanted. But now that it's been exposed, that taking it away has such dire consequences, I've added to the Obamacare plan the Biden initiative, which is a public option, Medicare, if you want to have Medicare, for reducing significantly the price of drugs, deductibles, et cetera, by underwriting the plan to a tune of about $750 billion, and making sure that we're able to cover everyone who is in fact able to be covered. Hey, put your hand down for a second, Bernie, okay?
Just waving to you, Joe.
I know.
Saying hello.
I know. So look, it covers everybody, it's realistic, and most importantly, it lets you choose what you want. Here, you have 160 million people negotiated their health care plans with their employer, like many of you have. You may or may not like it. If you don't like it, you can move into the public option that I propose in my plan. But if you like it, you shouldn't have Washington dictating to you. You cannot keep the plan you have.
Thank you, Vice President Biden. Senator Sanders, 45 seconds to respond.
Under Joe's plan, essentially, we retain the status quo.
That's not true.
No,
It is
that's not
exactly
right.
true. But, thank you. And, by the way, Joe, under your plan, you asked me how we're going to pay for it. Under your plan, I'll tell you how we're paying for it right now. The average worker in America, their family makes $60,000 a year.
Kill me, Bernie.
$12,000 a year for health care. 20%
Can
of the income. Under Medicare for All, that family will be paying $1,200 a year because we're eliminating.
Can Amazon start this service yet?
Of the drug companies and the insurance
Popular new
companies,
Amazon
and
service
ending
just comes to
this
your house and kills you.
Byzantine and complex administration of thousands.
Oh no, even the Onion is infected with horrible ads.
Yes, I'm going to come to
Logging is that. I don't like that.
The only guy that's not interrupted here, all right? I'm going to interrupt now. It costs $30 trillion.
This is the future I want.
Let's get that straight. $30 trillion over 10 years.
He's
Some
like,
say it costs
look at that guy. He
20
loves his
trillion.
job.
Some say it costs 40.
He's like, yep.
The
Are you
idea
John?
that you're going to be able to
Yep.
save that
Bam.
person making
He's like, hell yeah.
$60,000 a year on Medicare for All is absolutely preposterous. 16% of the American public is on
Amazon
Medicare
always
now,
offered unparalleled
and everybody
customer service
has
and
a
convenience.
tax taken out of their paycheck now. Tell me, you're going to add 84% more, and there's not going to be higher taxes? At least before he was honest about it. It's going to increase personal taxes. They're going to be.
That's right. We are going to increase personal taxes. But we're
So are you,
eliminating
Biden.
Premiums, We're eliminating co-payments.
Don't throw
We're
glass
eliminating
stones in rock
deductibles.
houses.
We're eliminating all out-of-pocket expenses.
Unless it's a good band,
and
like,
no family in America will spend more than $200
I don't know. I don't
a
listen
year
to rock.
on
Led Zeppelin.
prescription drugs.
Okay.
Senator Klobuchar.
Our plan will save the average worker far more.
Senator Klobuchar, we'd like to hear from you.
Okay.
Senator Klobuchar.
See, I didn't even need the drugs. I'm on Democratic debate right now.
First time I did this.
Straight into my brain.
That's true. I'll say this. First of all, Bernie, I promise when I am your president, I will get our pharmaceutical bills done. And we have worked together on this time and time again, and I agree with you on that. But where I disagree is I just don't think anyone
I wanna
has
keep
a
going.
monopoly on bold ideas.
But this is so
I think
painful.
You can be progressive and practical at the same time. That is why I favor a public option, which is a
Only an hour
nonprofit
left.
option to bring the cost down. And yes, it does bring the cost down immediately for 13 million people, and then we'll expand coverage to 12 million people. But here's the political problem.
Yes.
This fight that you guys are
Buy
having
this product.
isn't real. Your fight, Bernie, is not with me or with Vice President Biden. It is with all those bunch of those new House members, not everyone by any means, that got elected in that last election in the Democratic Party. It is with the new
I'm
governor,
just zoning it out.
Democratic
This is-
governor of Kentucky, that wants
this is
to
too
build
much.
on
Too many
Obamacare.
words.
And the way I look at it, if you want to if you want to cross a river over some troubled waters.
By the way, can I just
build
show you
a
guys my
bridge.
awesome
You don't blow one up. And I think that we should build on the
oceanside
affordable care
property?
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar.
Nice
Senator Warren, we would like to bring you in.
She took my name in
buildings
vain.
in San Francisco skyline. You can see all these nice skyscrapers, nice blue sky.
45 seconds.
If you look very closely, you can see the ocean fog out back.
Of Kentucky.
Cost me a lot of
My
money
fight and
for
all
this
of our
property.
fights must be with the greed and corruption of the pharmaceutical industry, with the greed and corruption of the insurance industry. These guys last year
Take your meds,
made
old man. No one cares.
$100 billion
Except
in
idiots.
profit, and tens of millions of Americans cannot afford.
I was talking to one of my liberal friends about this. I said, you know, Bernie got paid off by the Hillary campaign, right? According to Podesta's leaked emails, because his password was password123. And he goes, no, that didn't happen, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, you know, he's a liar just like every other politician, but he sounds a little nicer. His promises sound a little better than other politicians. And he's like, no, he really believes it. He's never changed his views. I'm like, well, him getting paid off by Hillary and him not calling her out afterwards, being cheated in the 2016 election, it really just goes to show he really is in it just for the money. He is like every other politician. He isn't really serious about his views. He's just a scam artist. No refunds.
Expand coverage.
So this is about costs. It's about costs on middle-class families. Last year, 36 million Americans didn't have a prescription filled because they couldn't afford it. And those are people with
That is a
health
big problem.
insurance as well. People who can't do the co-pays, people who can't do the deductibles, people who find out that the drug is not covered.
Yeah.
So here's how I approach this. I want to do the most good I can.
Deregulation of the
as quickly
industry
as
and insurance
possible.
cartels.
On day one, I'm going to attack the prices on commonly used drugs like EpiPens and insulin and bring down those prices. The president can do that.
How?
I'm saying this all by herself. And I will do
Ooh,
it. That's going to save
vagina.
families hundreds of millions of dollars. And then in the first 100 days, because I found a way to pay for full health care coverage.
She didn't say how she was going to do it. Executive order?
without raising taxes on
The
middle-class
military?
families. I'm going to make available to people for a full.
You gonna make the
healthcare
military
coverage
take
for
over pharmacies and
135 million
drug
people.
factories?
It'll be at no cost at all, and they can opt into that system.
That would actually be
For
cheaper.
others, it will be at a low
If you had the
cost.
military take over drug factories and pharmacies and just shoot anyone who tries to fight back and to produce it at cost, and the labor's already paid for because it's the military.
But in the of the season, I'd like to ask each one of you, is there someone else among these candidates that you have two options. One, a candidate from whom you would ask forgiveness for something maybe that was said tonight or another time, or
You know, I have to ask for forgiveness from Pete Buttigieg about saying he likes penis. That's a gross oversimplification of his lifestyle, and it's very childish of me. I really shouldn't talk about him like that. That was just a joke. I hope he wasn't too offended. Andrew Yang's like, F these guys. I was polite.
We could do a labor action and just all go on strike on this one, Andrew.
I don't think I have much to ask forgiveness for. You all can correct me on this. In terms of a gift, Elizabeth has done me the honor of starting to read my book.
Yes.
I would love to give each of you a copy of my book. It's about how we're going through the greatest economic transformation in our country's history, the fourth industrial revolution. It is grinding up our communities, and DC is out to lunch on this. Our media organizations are not covering it adequately. I wrote a book on it, and if you like data, this book is for you.
I like math.
People at home too, if you like data and books.
I love statistics, especially from the FBI. What is that? Unified Crime Reporting
Mayor Buttigieg asked forgiveness.
Table 29A from the 2013 data set.
First of all, I love data and books, so I think we should all be excited about this.
You can't read. Don't lie. No, I'm kidding.
And come to think of it, I should probably send my book around.
That was mean. I shouldn't be mean to him. He has it hard enough against all these experienced politicians.
I think all of us want the same thing at the end of the day. We know what a gift it would be to the future and to the country for literally
Superman vitality.
Anybody up here to become
No, that's Lion's Mane Mushroom.
compared to what we've got.
Not Alex Jones stuff.
And we got to remember, I don't know how many now, we're up to 25 something have run for president in the Democratic Party. The moment we got a nominee, the 24 who aren't that nominee are going to have to rally around the one who does.
I'm doing a happy dance because this thing's almost over.
For forgiveness for by the time that day comes.
Gotta pull a.
Senator Warren.
I will ask for forgiveness. I know that sometimes I get really worked up. And sometimes I get a little hot.
Ooh.
I don't really mean to. What happens is when you do 100,000 selfies with people,
I'm crying.
Stories about people who are
Vote
really
for me.
down
I'm sad
to their
if I
last
lose.
moments. You know, I met someone just last week in Nevada.
That's not
who
a.
said that he
That
has
makes you look weak.
diabetes and that he has access to a prescription because he's a veteran. But his sister has diabetes and his daughter has diabetes, and they simply can't afford insulin. So the three of them spend all of their time figuring out how to stretch one insulin prescription among three
So
people.
sad.
When I think about what we could do if we
That is
get
pretty. That is a sad
majority
story,
in the
but
House, a
it really has no
majority in the
relevance
Senate,
to
and get back
such a
to the White
large-scale
House,
political
we can
debate.
make this country work for people like that man.
I mean,
and
yeah, it
that's
is
why
an
I'm
issue, but
inspired.
it's insurance cartels, hospital billing being inflated,
I think everyone up here
and also the
knows
education
those who are not on
cartel
the stage
limiting
run
medical
the overhead
providers.
Because they're all pushing for the same exact thing. You're not the only one that does selfies, Senator. I've done thousands of them. Thousands of them. Whoa. And the crew that follows me can tell you.
I hope that was
not
ironic.
One line I go through, I don't have at least a half a dozen people come up and hug me and say, "Can you help me? I just lost my daughter 10 days ago.
What?
Can you help me? Tell me I'm going to be okay. Can you help
What
me?
is the
I
story?
just lost." And they go and lay out their problems. My wife and I have a call list of somewhere
Quit
between
lying,
20 and 100
Joe.
people that we call at least every
Sleepy
week
Joe.
or every
Sleepy
month to
old
tell
Joe.
them I'm here. I give them my private phone number. They keep in touch with me. The little kid who says,
I do not believe that for a second.
I can't talk. What do I do? I have scores of these young women and men who I keep in contact with.
Do you have binders
The reason
full
I
of them?
Give everyone here a gift because they want to do something like I do of making their lives better, because there's a lot of people who are hurting very, very, very badly.
Senator Sanders, forgiveness or gift?
Well, I can give out any one of four
Dude,
books.
he
that
just
I wrote.
looks so unhealthy.
But I think the gift that all of us
He's red
need to give to the American
from high blood pressure.
is a very, very different vision of the reality of the Trump administration. And the vision that we need to bring forth is to create a government and a nation based on love and compassion, not greed
We need
and
love.
hatred.
Oh, We need love. We need
a
to
vision
all
which
hold
says
hands
that in
and
our great
take
country,
mushrooms.
all
Love will
of
conquer
our
all.
people should be able
Except
to
for,
earn a
mentally ill
decent
people with
standard of living,
AK-47s. And the other
have
side of the
healthcare,
world won't help
have
with
the
that.
ability to send their kids to college regardless of their income. So we need a new vision which brings our people together around an agenda that works for all.
I have an agenda.
Not the Trump vision of dividing us up to benefit
It would be the
billionaire
ultimate
class.
agenda.
That's my vision.
Senator Klobuchar.
The last agenda the country would ever need. It would be
I'd ask for
wide-reaching and
forgiveness anytime any
comprehensive.
of you get mad at me.
But it would
I
never
can
work.
be blunt, but I am doing this because I think it is so important to pick the right candidate here. I do.
Don't
I
cry.
think when you see what's going on around the country, yes, it's the economic check that Elizabeth and Bernie so well pointed out on this
Those are
stage.
very nice
But
podiums. I
there's
like that
something else
design.
going on here, and it is a decency check. It is a
She's getting
values
cool.
check. It is a
Wivery.
patriotism check. When you see people, and we've all had this happen, that come to our meetings and say, yeah, I voted for
Be
Donald
better.
Trump, but I don't want
Trump,
to do it
this
again
isn't a good look.
because I want my kids to be able
I don't
to
like
watch
that
the
look,
president
Trump.
on
It looks
TV
bad on
and
you.
not mute the TV. We have to remember as Democrats, and if I get worked up about this, it's because I believe it so much in my heart that
this is
we have to
cringe.
bring people with us and not shut them out.
I want to see
That
Joe
is the
Biden
gift
pull
we
this
can
one.
give
I
America
want to see
in
Joe
this
Biden pull the.
Mr. Steyer.
I believe this so much. That's why I'm so emotional. Or see this guy. I want to see this guy do
This is
that.
the holiday
That would be
season.
hilarious.
What I'm hearing from every single one.
Oh, he's getting a little somber.
They've gone around the United States.
Too
What
somber.
they've seen from this administration and what they've seen from the Republican Party is cruelty towards the people of the United States for money. So when I think about
Politicians
the gift
do that.
I'd like to give, and I've seen that too. I mean, I think it starts with.
Is it
cruelty
$1,000 a month? I
when
want that
children
gift.
Are born and it goes right through life into pre-K, education, healthcare, a living wage. There is cruelty to working people. There
We used to have a living wage until government got involved with
I'd like to
everything.
give everyone on this stage, which was the original question, is the gift of teamwork. Because the question up here is,
I
how
didn't
are
even
we
want
together
socks for Christmas, and you got me
going to change
teamwork.
this framework?
Really?
How are we together going to beat this corrupt and criminal president? How are we going to stand up for the people of the
everything
United
is Trump's
States
fault, isn't
together,
it?
not by tearing each other down, but by supporting each other and by realizing that what we stand
Sorry.
for is the true value of America. And as a team, that's how we're going to do it. And as
There is no I
Americans,
in
we're going
team.
to come together to stand up for the original values, freedom,
Or in
equality,
business.
justice, teamwork.
There is no I in independent.
We are going to take a very short break. That does conclude our questions tonight here at Loyola Marymount
Well, what
University.
else are they gonna do?
We'll be back in just 2 minutes to hear the
Cool.
candidates' closing statements.
Oh, cool, finally. Man, my camera's not freezing now. That's good. I can say this is I don't know what's different about this. It's different from the previous debates, though.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with.
Oh,
our panel,
I jinxed
and
it.
the
Camera
panel
went
of
down.
The moderators just gave everyone the gift of a water break, I suppose. But we have a lot to talk about. Ryan Lizza and Laura Barron Lopez. I want to especially talk about two major confrontations we just saw. One between Amy
It's
Klobuchar
funny
and
'cause, like-
Buttigieg. And that
And
was
I'm not
really
making
about
fun of this
issues.
fact. Like,
And then we saw one
they're
that was
obviously
about
very,
issues
they're different
between former Vice
ethnicities,
President
but
Biden
they have so
and,
much makeup on.
Senator
They all
Sanders.
look the same
What did
skin
you make
tone.
of either one of those?
Right, so the one between Klobuchar and Buttigieg was very interesting. She called him out for pretty much
See that?
mocking
Just
and
too much
saying
makeup.
that he was an outsider
Too much
and
foundation.
that the collective experience of all of the
When they
senators
put
on the
foundation
stage,
all
as
over
well
their
as Joe
face,
Biden,
it's just
was
it doesn't look
something
good.
that Washington didn't need anymore, and so she
Especially if
said
it's a
that
pale
she thought you
foundation.
should
It's like,
respect
oh,
their
it looks like you're
experience. I thought
dying.
it was interesting that she
Do you
drew
need to
that
have a
contrast,
seat
kind of
because
drawing more attention to
you're not
these
getting
young
enough
ladies,
air?
37 years old, I believe the youngest in the race, and that is something that I think increasingly
Let me fix that
candidates
camera.
might try to point to.
Ryan?
Yeah, I think two big vulnerabilities for Pete Buttigieg were tested on that stage tonight. One was the clash earlier when Elizabeth Warren really went at him quite aggressively on the issue of the wine cave. He had this fundraiser recently, some kind of photos came out of it. So he's going to have to answer that. I noticed in the email chains that the Warren campaign is sending out, it's even more aggressive. And the second thing, his experience, which is by far his biggest liability, is can this young mayor, no statewide office, become president? So,
actually, no, I'm gonna use a restroom, so I'll just let this play and I'll be right back.
This debate, I will be stepping out
If I can
to
find the mouse.
and handing it over to my colleague Stephanie Sy. Stay with us afterward, but now let's turn back to the PBS NewsHour Politico-Democratic debate for closing statements by the candidates.
The PBS NewsHour Politico-Democratic debate continues live from Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. Once again, Judy Woodruff.
Welcome back to the PBS NewsHour Democratic debate with Politico. And now it's time for closing statements. We each have 60 seconds, beginning with Mr. Steyer.
I'm different from everybody else on this stage, and here's why. I'm running because corporations have bought our government, and we need to return power to the people. And for the last 10 years, that's exactly what I've been doing, taking on unchecked corporate power. That's why I'm for term limits, because if we're going to have bold change, then we need new people in charge and new ideas. I'm the only person on this stage who's built a large, multi-billion-dollar international business. I know how to grow prosperity. I can take on Mr. Trump on the economy and beat him. I'm the only one on this stage who said climate is my #1 priority. It's a crisis we have to deal with, but it's also our greatest opportunity to create millions of good-paying union jobs across the country and clean up the air and water in the Black and brown communities where it's so essential. So if you want to break the corporate stranglehold, beat Mr. Trump on the economy, and solve our climate crisis, I can deliver. And
Mr.
I'm
Yang.
asking for your vote.
I'm sorry. My apology for interrupting. Mr. Yang.
I know what you're thinking, America. How am I still on this stage with them? Our campaign is growing all the time because we are laser focused on solving the real problems that got Donald Trump elected in the first place. I spent 7 years helping create thousands of jobs in Detroit, Baltimore, New Orleans, and other cities, serving as an ambassador of entrepreneurship under President Obama. And I saw firsthand what many of you already know. Our country is falling apart. Our senior citizens are working until the day they die. Our kids are addicted to smartphones or drugs. We're seeing record high levels of depression, suicides, overdoses.
Mr. Missing Yang's Chang Yang closing statement.
Faster than ever, and the simple fact is this: our politicians in D.C. succeed whether we the people succeed or fail.
Yes, true.
Washington, D.C. today is the richest city in our country. What do they produce? Bad decisions?
Yeah, we need to riot.
We need to get the money out of D.C. and into your hands, the hands of the American people. Join us at yang2020.com and help us rewrite the rules of the 20th century economy to work for us.
I can use $1,000 a month.
Senator Klobuchar.
We have had quite a debate tonight, but I want to debate Donald Trump. This primary
I want to see you debate him.
simple questions. Who has the best
Oh, it
ideas,
froze
the
again.
best
Must be overheating.
Mostly, who can beat Donald Trump?
I want to see your debate Trump. That would be very entertaining.
So, Donald Trump built his fortune on, over time, over $413 million that he got from his dad. My grandpa, he was an iron
Yeah, he
ore
turned it
miner,
into
a union
billions.
member, worked 1,500 feet underground, and he saved money in a coffee can in the basement to send my dad to a community.
Okay, I don't believe that,
That's
but
my family trust. And
he worked for government strong arm, basically. Actually, no, to be fair, in his time, it probably wasn't as bad as it was now.
A sense of obligation, an obligation to lift people up instead of hoarding what you have for yourself. Our politics right now, because of Donald Trump, are toxic. We need a leader who can bring people together and who can win that way. So if you are tired of the extremes in our politics and the noise and the nonsense, you have a home with me. If you want a bigger tent and a wider coalition and longer coattails, join me. We will win at amyklobuchar.com.
Thank you. Mayor Buttigieg.
So the nominee is going to have to do two things: defeat Donald Trump and unite the country as president. It's a tall order.
No,
And in order
not
to do it,
happening.
we're going to need a nominee and a president who can respond to the crisis of belonging that is gripping our nation today. That means building up a politics that is defined not by who we exclude, not by who we reject, but by how many people we can call to this side. I have seen so many people capable of forming that multiracial, multi-generational coalition. And I'm seeing more and more people who maybe have not felt welcome in the Democratic Party before, but belong here now, because they're definitely not on board with what's going on in the Trump White House. I am asking you to join me, to vote for me, to caucus for me, and to help us build that future defined not by exclusion, but by belonging.
Senator Warren.
Did you call my name? This is a dark moment in America, and yet I come here tonight with a heart filled with hope. All three of my brothers served in the military. They're all retired. They're all back in Oklahoma. One is a Democrat, two are Republicans. But you know what unites my three brothers? Amazon. They are furious that Amazon reported $10 billion in profits and paid zero in taxes.
Income taxes. Not taxes. Income taxes.
And that gives us a base to work
Income
from.
taxes.
America
Big difference.
is ready.
I still think they're a very shady company, but don't lie.
And it lets us invest in all of our children. America is ready to expand Social Security payments and disability payments by $200 a month, and we can do it. You know, someone asked what this would mean. You just give somebody $200 a month. They asked me this in a town hall, and a lady who wanted it said, you know what it'll mean to me? It'll mean I can get a prescription filled, and I can still buy toilet paper the same week. That's where Americans are right now. I am not working for millionaires and billionaires.
This also annoys me is like the homeless in America have it better than a lot of the world. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still very, very tough to be homeless. It's not easy, but it's gonna be much harder to be homeless in African countries than America.
Americans have been listening to great speeches. And at the end of the day, the average American worker is not making a nickel more than he or she did in real wages over those 45 years. The truth is that real change always takes place. Real change always takes place from the bottom on up, never from the top on down. And that is why in this campaign, I am so proud that we have over 1 million volunteers. We have some of the strongest grassroots organizations. We have raised more individual contributions than any candidate in American history. Please join the political revolution at BernieSanders.com. Let's defeat Trump. Let's transform this country. Thank you.
I'm just asleep at this point.
And finally, Vice President Biden.
I want to thank everyone for listening 7 days out Christmas. Thank you very much. Look, we all have big progressive plans, and the question is, who can deliver on those plans? It seems to me
No
we have to
one.
ask ourselves
The
three
question is,
questions
who can
straight
pander the
and
most?
Who has the best chance?
Who has the
most
best
likely
chance
of defeating
of lying to
Donald Trump?
everyone?
Who is the one who's most likely to do that? Number two, who can help elect Democrats to the United States Senate in states like North Carolina and Georgia and Arizona and other states? And thirdly, who can deliver legislatively? That requires you to look at our records. I have a significant record of getting significant things done, from the Violence Against Women Act to the Chemical Weapons Treaty in foreign and domestic policy.
No one
And
cares.
so I think asking those questions, I believe, as you'd expect, that I'm the most
time to
qualified
stop.
answer those three questions. But most of all, we got to level with the American people. Don't play games with them. Tell them the truth and be authentic. God bless you all, and may you all have a great, great holiday season. And thank you guys for doing this as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And that.
All right, it's finally over. I have to be masochist or something to watch 2 hours of that. That was horrible. Hopefully the next one is less boring. Hopefully they do something other than just pander to their constituents. But thank you guys for watching. If you watch all the way to the end, please subscribe to the channel. Share my streams with your friends and family if you think they'd be interested. And have a great rest of your night.